Hi there, I'm Kim Vanell in Wanganui, New Zealand. It's Friday, February 27th. Today, Pakistan bombs targets in major cities in Afghanistan overnight. Paramount Skydance wins the battle to take over Warner Brothers, making a deal too sweet for Netflix to match. A new Reuters Ipsos poll shows Donald Trump has failed to convince Americans the economy is booming. And the death of an almost blind refugee on the streets of Buffalo sparks anger at US immigration authorities. This is Reuters World News, bringing you everything you need to know from the front lines in 10 minutes, 7 days a week. It's open war. That is the message from Pakistan's defense minister after the country bombed Taliban targets in neighboring Afghanistan overnight. Pakistan security forces posted footage showing what they say were strikes on Afghanistan's capital, Kabul. Sources said the air and ground strikes took out Taliban posts, headquarters, and ammunition depots in multiple sectors along the border. Both sides are reporting heavy casualties inflicted on the other, but the figures cited by each country could not be verified by Reuters. Witnesses described the sounds of loud blasts and jets, which gave way to ambulance sirens.
Reuters news editor Saad Saeed is monitoring the story. Saad, what do we know so far?
This seems like the biggest escalation in fighting between Pakistan and Afghanistan since the Taliban came to power in 2021. In terms of the scale of the strikes, it appears bigger than the October skirmishes. Pakistan has hit what are official government installations. We're unclear on what those installations are, which is a serious escalation from before, where Pakistan said it was hitting militant strongholds, although the Taliban did report civilian casualties in previous attacks.
Pakistan and Afghanistan share a 1,600-mile-long border, which now threatens to become a front line. At the center of the fighting, accusations by Pakistan that the Taliban is harboring militants inside its borders.
Historically, when the Taliban came to power in 2021, it seemed like there was no cause for concern as far as Pakistan goes. But quickly, it turned out that, or at least Pakistan claimed that the Taliban was providing sanctuary to militants who were carrying out attacks against Pakistan. The Taliban has denied ever giving sanctuary to any militants on its own territory and has said Pakistan's security is an internal problem.
You can follow this developing story at Reuters.com or by downloading the app. The takeover battle, described as the biggest thriller in Hollywood, has come to an end. And the winner? Paramount Skydance, which beat out Netflix to have its takeover bid for Warner Brothers accepted. It is a dramatic reversal in a battle that's been grinding on since last fall, and which involves one of the world's richest men. Entertainment reporter Dawn Chmielewski says in the end, Netflix didn't want to match Paramount's bid.
It's a $31 share offer, which is up from the original $30 offer. But there were a number of terms that Paramount incorporated to demonstrate its confidence in closing the deal. For example, it agreed to pay Warner Brothers a $7 billion fee if it fails to gain regulatory approval for this deal. It also offered investors a 25-cent per share ticking fee for every quarter that this deal goes beyond September and fails to close. So that, again, demonstrates its ability to get this deal done. And lastly, billionaire Larry Ellison, whose son David is the CEO of Paramount, is personally backing the deal. One of the advisors I spoke with said that Netflix really was reluctant to get into a sustained bidding war with one of the world's richest men. In fact, they said there's no playing chicken with someone who won't turn the wheel.
Netflix shares jumped when investors learned it was out of the running. But as far as Paramount is concerned, Dawn says they've bought content and IP that they hope will return dividends.
About 60 or 70% of the time that we spend on streaming services is actually viewing old movies or older TV shows. So that would be a tool in retaining subscribers and keeping them watching. And Warner Brothers, over 100 years, has developed this trove of characters that we know, from DC superheroes like Superman and Batman to fantasy series like Harry Potter. It will likely combine the two television networks, CNN, this global cable net, and CBS broadcaster.
For more on Paramount's surprise win, tune in to our sister podcast, Morning Bid. The US and Iran have made significant progress in nuclear talks. That's according to an Omani mediator. The progress could stave off US strikes against Iran as President Donald Trump continues to scale up military presence in the Middle East. The two sides plan to resume negotiations soon, with technical level discussions scheduled to take place next week in Vienna. Trump has repeatedly threatened military action if there is no deal. Former Democratic presidential nominee Hillary Clinton has told a congressional committee she does not remember ever meeting Jeffrey Epstein.
I never went to his island. I never went to his homes. I never went to his offices.
She says she was acquainted with Epstein's girlfriend and co-convict Ghislaine Maxwell casually. Hillary's husband, former President Bill Clinton, is set to testify today. Bill Clinton has expressed regret over associating with the late sex offender, but has denied any wrongdoing.
Our nation is back, bigger, better, richer, and stronger than ever before.
President Donald Trump, during his State of the Union speech, where he made several claims about the economy. But new data from the latest Reuters Ipsos poll shows he's still to convince Americans that he's got the economy under control. Washington correspondent Jason Lang has more.
2/3 of Americans disagree with that. They disagree with a statement that the U.S. economy is booming. 30% agree. Most Democrats, or an overwhelming share of Democrats, think that the economy is not booming. Republicans are more divided, with only a bit over half thinking the economy is booming.
Also in the poll, inflation, with people asked whether they agree with the statement, there is hardly any inflation in the US.
82% of respondents in our poll said that they disagree with the statement that there's hardly any inflation in America right now. Even in the Republican Party, 72% said that they disagreed with the statement that there's virtually no inflation. That's pretty high.
You can see the rest of the poll data and Jason's analysis on Reuters.com. More bad news for UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer. An embarrassing setback as the Green Party wins a special election near Manchester, an area which has been a Labour stronghold for decades. The result marks the first time the Greens have won a British by-election. US Border Patrol is under scrutiny again after a Rohingya refugee who was nearly blind was found dead on the streets of Buffalo. 58-year-old Nurul Amin Shah Alam went missing after he was moved from prison, where he was awaiting trial on what ended up as a misdemeanor, to Border Patrol custody. When border agents realized he was in the country legally as a refugee, they released him. Nurul then went missing, and temperatures outside were freezing. Reporter Christina Cook says Border Patrol agents are now in the spotlight.
Border Patrol gave Shah Alam what they called a courtesy ride to a coffee shop near his last known address, but they didn't notify the family of where he was released. And the address Border Patrol had for him was old. The family had moved across town a few miles away. Of course, this was a person who didn't speak English, was nearly blind, and his son said he didn't read, write, or use technology. Buffalo's mayor, Sean Ryan, who's a Democrat, said in a statement on Wednesday that Shah Alam's death was preventable and the result of inhumane decision-making by federal immigration authorities.
A Customs and Border Protection spokesperson did not immediately respond to Reuters' request for comment on the case. But in a statement to a local news outlet, a CBP spokesperson said Nurul agreed to be taken to a coffee shop, a place agents determined to be warm and safe and near his last known address. They say he showed no signs of any disabilities requiring special assistance. For today's recommended read, take a look at the hottest job in AI right now. Crystal Hu reports on the rise of the role of the forward-deployed engineer in her latest Artificial Intelligencer newsletter. The job ad is a messy read, to say the least. But if you think a career change is on the cards, sign up for Crystal's newsletter straight to your inbox. The link is in the show notes. For more on any of the stories from today, check out Reuters.com or the Reuters app. Don't forget to follow us on your favorite podcast player. If you're listening on a smart speaker, just ask for the latest news from Reuters 7 days a week. We'll be back tomorrow with our daily headline show.